What's up, everyone? Thralls of Metal back here again with another excellent album review. I am Shredlord.
Necrotic Nick.
And this is the King. He has decided to be our third participant today in the review. Today we are very excited and doing a review on an album we've been looking forward to for quite some time. That is Testament's new release, Titans of Creation.
This comes out on Nuclear Blast on the 3rd of April. This is their 13th full length. They've been around technically since 1983 when they were known as Legacy and they had Zetro on vocals then. Then Chuck Billy steps in 1986, they change the name to Testament, and they become fucking legends. This is easily one of my favorite thrash bands of all time. I've been a fan of the band since I was like 15, and I've been looking forward to this release.
Yeah, we've been talking about it in other videos, we've been talking about it to each other, so yeah, this was a big deal for us, and let's find out if it lived up to the hype or not.
So right away, I would say the first two tracks pretty much establish Testament. It is fast, galloping, anthemic thrash metal. Children of the Next Level, which was the second single release, is just an absolute beast of a track.
I love the chorus.
Oh my
For some
God.
reason, that chorus really stuck out. I find it just humming it.
Dude, when that gallop comes in, the big chug-a-thon, that is literally my heartbeat, which I probably should get checked out. But it is just such a driving song, and when you get to that bridge that just goes just full barn burner, shreddy, like the lead work, the trade-offs between Peterson and Skolnick, which Peterson's even stepped up his game, I think, on this one too, and Skolnick is fucking Skolnick.
Alex has always set the bar very high. Eric Peterson is one of these guys, to me, I think of him almost like a KK Downing, in the sense that when you listen to early Testament, it's okay, but the more Testament went on, the better Eric kept getting and kept getting and kept getting. So I think, he's developed over the years into a really nice compliment to Alex.
He's always been like the backbone riff writer for this band, and yeah, he once again just demonstrates that, but he's also really gotten better at the lead playing. He's definitely different than Skolnick.
It's a very virtuosic, unique, modal approach, because Alex is such a schooled musician of jazz, fusion and everything, so he tries to make it as exotic and interesting as possible. Peterson, to me, is just more of the down-home, pentatonic, thrash style.
Squealy. World War III pretty much keeps with that furious pace, and I think this one's a little bit heavier of a track, too, so right away you got two tracks back-to-back that establish the intensity that this album brings. Now, it's interesting that the album takes kind of a shift more towards groove metal a little bit later. Dream Deceiver actually kind of reminds me of the stuff they did on The Ritual, which may or may not be a fan favorite. They kind of shifted more towards groove metal there. It was one of their most successful albums. But this one has like a really cool chorus hook, and it's almost kind of sung on it too, which Chuck really doesn't do a tremendous amount of singing here lately. It's very melodic growling, or kind of his raspy delivery, but not necessarily as tuneful as some of the earlier stuff. And it really just kind of makes the song stand out. It's just a nice little groovy, well-structured song that's almost kind of a single.
Yeah, I think a really strong point of this album was Chuck's vocals and the variety on which it came. There's a little bit of some new things here that throws on at the end that didn't expect to come from him at all. So he didn't push himself out of any comfort boundaries to where it kind of sounded iffy. He knew where his box was, and he slayed the ever-living shit out of staying inside that box. He did a really good job.
Yeah, and you actually get some legit clean vocals on City of Angels, which is a standout track because it is notably different. It's slower, it's a little bit sludgier, I dare say kind of doomy in spots. There's a section in the song that brings out the wah pedal and just goes full Iomi.
It's full on Black Sabbath. It was just hits, yeah.
Oh, I watched him perk up as soon as he heard that.
The wah's half cocked, it's solo, like the riff itself is soloed. It just sounds like the build-up of a Black Sabbath breakdown, And that's exactly what they did. They broke it down Sabbathy, doom style, and it sounded fucking cool.
This album takes an interesting turn, thematically. It goes kind of more for, Egyptian, Mesopotamian, Sumerian themes, like ancient cultures and the cradle of civilization. Ishtar's Gate brings in some really cool, Middle Eastern melodies, and I really loved how this song opened up. Now, it kind of turns into more, kind of standard fare for Testament along the middle of the song, which standard fare for Testament's fucking awesome. Yeah. But I kind of wanted this little Middle Eastern part to continue as the main part here, throughout the verses, or maybe tied into the chorus just a little bit better.
I didn't mind it, but yeah, maybe in their mind they were thinking it's such a good part they weren't going to overdo it. You know, they were gonna put it in there, but not as much, so to speak. So, but I definitely dug it. But yes, you're right. I agree. I could have used a little bit more of it because I really liked those spots and those sections.
Kota Hammurabi was on the one that really took on to that theme, and I think they actually did it a lot better in there. This is one of the nastiest, heaviest songs there, and I love that it opens with Steve DiGiorgio's token fretless bass work, which
needs to be talked about. The bass work on this album. First of all, DiGiorgio's tone is. I'm not even a bass player, and I can just recognize like how perfect and thumpy, and it's tight, but it thumps. It's really great, and it really set the foundation for a lot of great tracks, a lot of great riffs, and it was very reminiscent to me of, at times, Geezer Butler, like some of the fills Geezer Butler does and stuff like that, and it sounded really good. So 2 thumbs up to that guy, because he was allowed to kind of step up and shine on this album.
Years of listening to Death and Sadus, I've definitely been used to Steve DiGiorgio style, and he was on Brotherhood of the Snake, but I don't think they really utilized him as much. I think Brotherhood of the Snake was a little bit more straightforward of an album. This one is musically adventurous, and they really let him shine on some spots in here, and it works to great effect. Then you got songs like Symptoms, which brings back down that groovy punch again. The bridge on False Prophet is probably one of my favorite moments. It just goes full bore machine gun guitars with these little punctuated chugs, and in between that, little quick shreds, and then boom, after a couple of those, you're into the main heart of the solos, which, Jesus Christ, the bridges on this album. Like, when they write a bridge, it's like, dude, you're going to shred over some nastiness.
They write the San Francisco Bridge.
Yes.
They're constructing bridges for sure. Yeah, a lot of great spots, a lot of great hooks, a lot of great epic moments that you have to stop what you're doing while you're listening and you go, yeah.
And I gotta say, like, the overall feel of this album is a little bit looser. I think that it was a little bit more fun. They were all more involved in the studio. They all got to really work with each other. It wasn't all, like, separate file sharing and such. I think the drums are a little bit looser. They kind of let Gina Hoagland do some cool polyrhythm stuff in there. And it just has this really cohesive feel, and they really went for just playing from the heart on this one. And as far as, like, bringing in some newer stuff or some different influences, you start to hear bits of death metal come in, like on the Healers. The main body of the song is driven by a tremolo riff, like just quick picked. Reminded me of like Deicide, which I never thought those two were very comparable, but it actually is very similar here because the double bass is going the entire time, and it has a more death metal feel with thrash elements in it. And then you get to the second to last song, Curse of Osiris, and we're greeted to black metal. Like, there is a legit black metal spot with blast beats.
Chuck Billy just, like, doing screeching vocals, black metal vocals.
And nailing it. I actually had to look and see if anyone else was involved with this vocally, and no, that was Chuck. And again, Chuck is doing all sorts of cool things on this album vocally. He does return to singing on City of Angels, though I think they could have mixed it differently because they do a layered vocal with a high and a low on top, and I think just letting his lower tone ring out a little bit more could have done more, but overall, this is one hell of a performance from Chuck Billy. Now, one issue I did have with this album is the last track, Catacombs. Now, if you're a Testament fan and you hear this track, you're going to recognize this intro from either live performances or the song Legions in Hiding off of Low. They kind of just reused that, throw on some epic keyboards, and it's cool. I like it, but I don't know why it's at the end of this album.
Just a weird place to put that. It almost definitely should have been like in the front or maybe in the middle to kind of break up the tunage.
Or build up to like a big tune. Like, I could have seen this being right in front of Curse of Osiris. That'd be an awesome build up to an incredible track. But at the end, it just feels like it's kind of tacked on, and I was just kind of left scratching my head like, why is this here? But overall, I have pretty much nothing but good things to say about this album.
Agreed.
And it isn't just because I'm a Testament fanboy. This is just a legit, well-crafted, well-written album with lots of variety into it. I think it's more adventurous than at least Brotherhood of the Snake, which I really enjoyed that one. This one shows off some really creative songwriting. And overall, I'm going to give it 4 stars. I think this is a fucking banger and another awesome addition to Testament's immensely kick-ass discography.
I'm going to go ahead and give it a 4.5. Sometimes you hype something up in your mind so much that when it comes out, you're disappointed because you set the bar so high. This was what I expected it to be, and even a little bit more so. I thought the fact that they spent time together and allowed everyone to be themselves and breathe individually, that gelling factor really made this album stand out a little bit more so than other albums in the past. I absolutely adore the production and the guitar sounds on this. It was, like we were talking, it was still almost a little raw sounding at times, but still really well produced. It sounded organic.
It had some of those 80s touches.
Very organic, but still very well produced. The lead playing, the songwriting, Chuck's vocals all over the place, DiGiorgio's bass lines, that tone, and of course the atomic clock just going fucking off in the background, man. What's not to love about this album? This is something I'll probably be listening to a lot. So
this is essentially a supergroup, but it's Testament. So if you like the review, give it a thumbs up, and if you are new to the channel, subscribe, because we do shit like this all the time.
Like every day.
Like every day.
The king says bye!
Catch you guys later.